Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Danny here, and today I'm actually finally bringing the video sort of on my thoughts on Modern Warfare and sort of letting you guys know sort of what is in the newest Call of Duty game. Once again, this will probably be another rant video as I never type out what I'm going to say in my commentaries, but a little bit about the gameplay. You're going to be seeing a Stingray nuclear. Unfortunately, when I tried to record it live just off the PlayStation, the file got corrupted and only recorded like the last 20 seconds or something, and therefore I had to go into standard mode and record it. That's why, you know, if you see that my aim's a little weird or the game just looks a little funky, that's why. But yeah, and you know, the second half of the gameplay I pretty much popped off once again. A pretty solid Stingray, you know, no op mod gameplay. I'm pretty proud of these, you know, considering that the Stingray is nothing phenomenal, but I don't know, it seems to have a bad reputation for being bad without the op mod, or at least that's what I heard. Now, I don't know anything about the statistics of Stingray, so, you know, take my word with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's enough about the gameplay. So to start off, we'll talk about real quick campaign for Modern Warfare. And, you know, just being honest here, I don't really care about campaign. I never have. When I play it, I mean, if it's something phenomenal or like, you know, as gory or as realistic or as, you know, gritty as, you know, a lot of people seem to be making it out to be, personally, that stuff doesn't really bother me. Not in the fact that I'm like a sociopath or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's not like it's not like a winning factor for me. Like, you know, if it's super gory, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna be so hyped, you know. And if it's super like childish, you know, it's not like I'm gonna hate it, you know. Chances are, to me, campaign is just campaign, and I never really cared about it. And so, you know, if it's something really good, I'll maybe give it a go, you know, when I'm really bored or something, or if I just want to farm trophies, I guess I could do it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But as far as I'm concerned, I just know it's very realistic and it's supposed to portray war for the way that it is. And, you know, I know that it's also been getting a lot of flack, and that, you know, this game, you know, makes the Modern Warfare 2 mission No Russian look like a child's play. And to me, like I said, I don't really care. And, you know, if they do take this more extreme route, I think it works out just fine, you know, because war was never pretty to begin with. And, you know, to portray like Call of Duty campaigns to be this action-packed, like, American USA blockbuster film, you know, I mean, that's cool and all, but, you know, it kind of gets old after a while, right? Now, obviously, I haven't played the COD campaigns in, like, ever since, like, I think, what, Black Ops 2, maybe? So with that in mind, I don't really have much expectations for campaign. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. If you guys are looking for campaign, I'm sure that eventually they'll announce something, but I'm definitely looking forward to multiplayer. Now, before we enter multiplayer, I know there is another mode as well, such as Spec Ops. Personally, I haven't seen very much information. I don't know very much information on it, and therefore I really feel like I can't make a statement on it. But if you want my personal thoughts on, you know, whether or not I'll be playing Spec Ops or whatnot, I'll definitely try it. You know, I'm always very open to trying new Call of Duty game modes, and I did, you know, enjoy, you know, Modern Warfare 3 Spec Ops mode to a certain extent, but it definitely was not something that I wanted to play 24/7. Now, survival mode was actually pretty alright. You know, it definitely wasn't anything like zombies, or is like compelling as zombies, but Spec Ops is more or less just like another, pretty much a very mindless game mode that you can play, right? Obviously, you can argue Call of Duty in general is sort of a mindless shooter, but you know, Spec Ops or survival mode really is just, you know, shooting campaign bots that are with more health, you know. So that's just my personal stance on it. You know, whatever they bring to Spec Ops, I think is cool. That's just more content beyond just multiplayer, right? And also, I want to quickly touch on Battle Royale. I don't think Battle Royale will be coming this year. I don't think so. I don't think there has been an announcement for that. I know there's like a 50v50 mode, I believe, 100 players. And so I think that's very cool. It's going to be like a massive ground war. So yeah, but speaking of, you know, massive ground war, now I can finally talk about multiplayer, right? And to start off, I've heard about the 20v20 and 10v10, and according to most YouTubers, the smaller the game mode, the better the game seems to have played out, right? So far, no one has really liked 20v20, and I do appreciate Call of Duty for trying to take a new direction in the fact that now that there's more players, you know, we get this more massive scale gameplay that Call of Duty has never seen before. And with the new upgraded engine, I think it will look really, really great, and maybe the game will run far better. Now, once again, I do play on a base PlayStation 4. I don't even play on a PlayStation 4 Slim. This is like literally old school 2013 PlayStation. All right, so whether or not it'll run well on the base consoles, I have no clue. Black Ops 4 already suffers from frame drops when it comes down to things such as blackout or things like that, and even at times multiplayer has that problem. So we'll just have to see how they optimize it. I hope that it does play well. Blackout's acceptable, but sometimes gunfights are lost because I just lose frames. So that's just something I have concern for. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel like 20v20 could be something special. I think that if they give sort of like a traditional Call of Duty sense where you do have a mini-map, I think that it's much more easier to control and much more easier to play, and therefore it won't feel as hectic or as mindless as what it would be right now. Now, I know that in the future they're going to add outlines of where your teammates are at, but it's just not the same, right? Because if you look at the mini-map, you don't have to look around to see where your outlines are, and while you're looking around for the outlines, you kind of get screwed, right? Whereas if you're on the mini-map, all you have to do is glance at it and you sort of get a good idea, and you really take a reduced amount of time, or wasting time in which you're vulnerable, So that's just my thoughts. Now, speaking of minimap, do I think minimap belongs in Modern Warfare? I think minimap should. Minimap has always been in Call of Duty, and not just in Call of Duty, but even in a game like Titanfall, where it's like a massive scale game, like minimap gives cohesion and flow to the game, I think, especially with newer players. I think they're naturally going to play more passively if they have no clue how the map works, and they're just going to hide in a building, and it's going to slow down the pacing of the game, right? And the game itself already looks far less fast-paced as, say, compared to like Black Ops 4. So when you put that into perspective, it's like I feel like this is going to be a hard slowdown from what we've been playing this past year. Now, am I for slowing down COD? Not really. I mean, playing Modern Warfare Remastered was cancer, I don't really understand what people enjoy about in that game. Sure, it's nostalgic, it's fun, and back then it was great, but it was good in its time, right? And so I think that with this new COD, I really hope that they, it doesn't look too slow, but it definitely wants to keep a solid pacing, right? You definitely don't want remastered pacing. I'd say closer to Ghosts, Modern Warfare 3 type of pacing. I think that'd be all right. And as far as quickly, we're going to touch on graphics. Graphics look phenomenal. Really nothing more to say about it. I think it just looks like a phenomenal game. Hit detection, time to kill look pretty smooth. Looks a little bit like Modern Warfare 3. The guns kick a lot, so I can't tell if the hit detection is bad or the guns just kick a lot and the YouTubers just can't seem to grasp it yet. Could be a little bit of both, but as far as I'm concerned, Infinity Ward games hit detection and fluency generally are pretty good. I know Modern Warfare 3 had a couple issues, but I'm sure that on these current gen consoles they'll have these worked out. So yeah, next thing is, I also heard about Gunsmith having so many different attachments and stuff like that, and that is very, very cool. And I think that is a good addition to the game, simply because it really unlocks a whole new potential to the way that you can play the game, right? And also unlocks the potential that you don't have to make two separate guns for essentially the same model, right? Instead of RPD and AK-47, you could sort of mix and match attachments. Suddenly you get something really, really cool, So, I think with the 60 attachments or so, I think that's very, very good for customization and overall just good gunplay. Hopefully opens up new creativity. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be balanced, because at the end of the day, no matter what Call of Duty it is, and no matter how balanced you try to make it, one gun's always stand out on top, and it's always going to have the certain set of attachments that makes it good. And so, at the end of the day, I'm sure we're going to end up finding out what those attachments are and what it's going to make the guns good. But in the process of doing it, I'm sure experimenting, mixing and matching, that's all going to be part of the fun. So something I'm really excited for. I also know that the health is back to 100, and there is no stim shot. Or, correction, there is stim shot, but it is a one-time use, and it is not like the adrenaline pump that you like stab into yourself when you play Black Ops 4. And personally, I'm kind of sad to see this go, because I feel like you stim shotting really quickly and re-engaging into the battle really speeds up the pacing of the game, and it allows just these better players, you know, with more health to just outplay two people, you know. And so like with lower amount of health, I feel that it is just more difficult to take out two players, as they just murk you so fast that there's nothing you can do. And with the slower slide speed, jump speed, and movement in general, this game's your ability to duck and weave just is not going to be as good, and therefore I feel that the skill gap is going to be smaller. Now, is that a horrible thing? No, Call of Duty skill gap has never been massive, but you know, once again, you're already making something that is already small even smaller, right? So just my 2 cents on it. Yeah, now what else? Obviously monetization, I don't know anything about it yet, so I can't make a comment, but if it's anything like Black Ops 4, I think we're going to be in a huge world of hurt with this game. And I've heard that there is like 4 generally in each category at the minimum of guns. I heard that ARs and SMGs are going to have about 10 in each category, so that's a good amount of guns. Personally, I would like to see more. I would like to see closer to Modern Warfare 3 caliber of weaponry that is available, because Modern Warfare 3 had a fuck ton of weapons, and it was super awesome. You know, every gun sort of had its own personality. It was really fun to use, and I enjoyed it, you know. The shotguns were very viable. God, the striker was phenomenal, and I hope that they do something like that in the future. Now, besides that, I can't really recall anything that seems to make a big deal. Oh, cross-platform and no season pass while we're on the monetization idea. No season pass, great idea. Season pass was the biggest ripoff of Black Ops 4. I regret buying it. I definitely would have waited for just the zombies maps to come out free on their own, or not free, but you know, separate buys. And so we'll see what happens. And of course, the ability to crossplay, I think, is very, very cool. From what I've heard, it's going to be similar to Fortnite. Based upon your input is what you're going to end up playing against. And so it's cool. You know, I have a couple friends that are on, you know, Xbox, or specifically just one friend that's on Xbox. And I've got one friend that's also on PC, and, you know, we're able to then play all together. Am I psyched to play against PC people? Not really. But, you know, I mean, for the sake of just playing with buddies, hey, we can all sacrifice a little bit, right? So, you know, I think that's very, very cool, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. Now, obviously, this is just based off of what I see, not speculation, but yeah, based off of what I see, what I heard, secondhand experience, I guess, from YouTubers. And so those are just my thoughts on the game. You know, I think that you know, I don't have very high hopes for this game. I don't think this game will be anything that will really blow me away, just from what I hear. I really like the gameplay and the gunplay of Black Ops 4. It's just unfortunate that the content and the way that the game launched was so poor. And so, you know, if they sort of, I don't know, if they continue to support the game, I think that we're going to be in a good shape, right? There's new game modes and stuff like that, and I think that's very cool. Maps are going to be big. I don't know how I feel about that, but, you know, we'll just have to wait and see where that goes. You know, I don't know. Without 3-lane maps and the more like classic Call of Duty 4 maps, I don't really know what to say about that, because they don't play too well in modern day, and you just get campers everywhere. And so I don't know. It's like I said, you know, I have to play the beta to really give you my full impressions. But from what I'm hearing, I have to say that my end result so far is just skeptical. You know, I'm not ready to commit to this game. And you know, I can't say that I'm super hyped about it, but I will say that Black Ops 4 is getting really stale, and so, you know, anything new at this point will be very welcome. But yeah, so those are just sort of my thoughts on Modern Warfare. I'm sure I'm probably missing a ton of other things, but these are really the big topics that stood out to me. And so at the end of the day, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Holy 90 and 4? What?
Oh,
What the heck?
just kept running. Nobody looked.